An email out to all sitting principals in our school system and say, if you are interested in this particular job, please turn in your application. If a sitting principal is interested, parents are really not involved in that process. Because what ends up happening is, and hopefully everybody will understand this, is that if I was a principal at Cornelius Elementary School and I said that I was interested in another school, well, you really don't want your parent population to know that you're interested in possibly going to another school, because if you don't get that job, you know, it's kind of an awkward situation. So they keep that very, very confidential, that first layer. Once that's done, we're actually really at the same time, a group of parents and teachers were brought together almost within a week or so, right after I was announced, right after we came back from break, where for 2 hours they sat down and created a profile for what they were looking for in the position. And this was at 3:30 in the afternoon, and it lasted, I left work a little after 5, and it was still going on till I think around 5:30 in the afternoon, where they came up with a list of characteristics of what they were looking for. And there's some people in this room that were a part of that process. That creates what they call a principal profile. And they'll use that to kind of guide the process when they interview. Is it a good match for what the parent and teachers in this community feel fits JV Washam? So that's another step that they do really simultaneously with the internal search. At this point, based on my understanding of the process, I'm not really that involved, really not at all involved. They don't talk to me about candidates, they don't talk to me about processes, they don't talk to me about really the profile. I never get a chance to look at the profile. So I'm kept out of the loop. There's positives of that process and there's negatives of that process, because the positives are, I'm not getting involved in something that can be considered very messy in regard to the politics of things. The negative is I really don't have answers to questions when the rumor mill starts about applicants or, you know, how something's going to happen, because I really don't know. So what they do at that point, if they don't find a sitting principal, they then go to the next phase, which is actually happening tomorrow, which is a interview where they've invited 3 of our parents, 3 of our staff members, along with some of the Northeast Learning Zone folks, and they are actually going to have a interview with other candidates. So what that typically means when that happens is that a sitting principal in Charlotte-Mecklenburg is not getting the job. They've widened the net to allow other people to apply for the position. So that will be the next step. The hope is, and it's been Dr. Robinson, who's this assistant superintendent for our area, the Northeast Zone. It is the hope that there will be a person coming in to take over when I leave on my last day is March the 1st. But there's a couple different scenarios that could happen in that regard. And I'll give you an example. One thing that could happen is what's happening at Torrance Creek right now. The principal at Torrance Creek was named an assistant superintendent for high school. So he was moved really days after I was named for the new school. He was moved out of Torrance Creek. So Torrance Creek is really, when you talk about going through some things, Torrance Creek is truly the school that's dealing with some struggles right now in regard to anxiety, because they not only know that they're being split, they also lost their principal within the same week. So it's been a very difficult time for them. But in this particular case, they put an interim, a retired principal, who actually, her name's Ann Nivens, and she was the principal at Highland Creek for many years, in several other systems. She is finishing out the year at Torrance Creek, and their new principal will start in July. That's actually how I started here. Dr. Hammond decided that she was going to move to a new position. I was named in April. I did not take over this position until July, end of June, I think it was. So that's one way it could happen here. They could bring in an interim retired principal to finish out the year, because the reality is nothing's going to change down the stretch of this school year, and everything that could change would happen the following year. No principal is going to come in and make wholesale changes with 2.5 months of school left. So an interim can solidly finish the job with experience, and it would probably not even skip a beat. They would help with observations. Mr. Otalski would help guide that process, and in reality probably wouldn't be anything at all that would impact parents in the slightest. The other thing they could do, if they hired somebody from outside the system, they could start immediately. So there's a couple different ways it could go, but the hope is there's going to be someone taking my role as of March 4th my last day being March the 1st. So that kind of gives a little snapshot of where we're at in that process. Any questions that I can try to answer for you in regard to that? Anything at all? Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. Other things I just wanted to kind of touch base about. Father-daughter dance was 2 weeks ago. Fantastic time. The committee did a wonderful job. It really was a positive experience for the girls. I always use the analogy that it was nicer than my prom, and it really was, I think. Though I don't remember prom, but still, I kind of blocked out like 12 years of school. I don't know. But it was a really nice experience for the kids, so that was a wonderful thing to just happen recently. The turnout was phenomenal. There was cars lined up and down the road. I mean, it was a great turnout. We also have 4th grade Dad's Day coming up this Friday. I posted it on our Facebook page yesterday. Our teachers are sharing that information. This is just on a series of, we do every grade level throughout the year. So 4th grade will be up this Friday from 8 to 9. They will report to the cafeteria. They have a light breakfast if they choose, and then we release them to classes. And we've been doing that for a few years, and it's been pretty positive where we continue to get a great turnout from our dads. The biggest thing, or really any significant person in their lives, doesn't necessarily have to be a dad. The thing that I would ask you to promote with your significant other, if that is a situation that lays itself out to you, is to try to get more dads into our school on a regular basis. We do see them in the morning during drop-off, but after that, we really don't see them that often. And I think it really sets a positive tone with our school when we do have dads in the building as much as they possibly can be here. And it doesn't have to be all the time. It doesn't have to be something where they're here for long periods of time, but just to be seen and to let children know that not only is mom interested in what's going on at the schoolhouse, but dad is as well, as a positive thing. What tends to end up happening is dad becomes a disciplinarian, and then mom's the one that's in the school building. And it doesn't need to be that way all the time. So I'd like to promote that every chance I get. Next Wednesday, we will be doing our announcement that we will be introducing the Violet Washam Media Center. All of our families are going to be welcome. I'm going to post that also on Facebook on the 15th Friday, but that'll be next Wednesday after school. Everybody's welcome to attend. We're just going to do a real brief presentation to the Washam family. And Ms. Chuka and our media committee have worked together to kind of get that situated. We will have a plaque that we will put up, and we will have the wording up in here just to celebrate that. Again, just a nice cause to celebrate the family that helped build this school and helped give the land for the school. So I think it's really neat. And Mr. Washam lives right out in front of our building, so any opportunity I can get him to come into the school, I want to embrace that. And it really excites him a great deal to have that honor to his family. Other things, Digital Citizenship Day we did. I guess it was Monday? Last week? Last week. Last Wednesday. And great. It was a great thing. We talked our teachers into using FaceTime and doing some different things in the classroom. So we had a lot of paired activities with upper grade classes and lower grade classes. Ms. Lipsky and Ms. Swinney, who work in our technology lab, really went around the entire school and got everybody set up to do that. We had stories read from upper grade classes to lower grade classes. We did some things called Shape Monsters with some of our lower grades where we used directions, and we had the children try to draw a character that we had created. I worked with the K class, Mr. Otalski did. And so it was a really good time, and I think it actually is going to be a tipping point to getting more community in our school in regard to classes. One of the big things is, when am I going to have time to work with another class, or how do I fit that in? FaceTime is a great way to be able to accomplish that and to try to connect rooms together. So I thought it was a really neat experience. Hopefully your children came home and were excited about it. I know some parents were in the rooms when we were doing things, and it ended up being a really exciting time, and the kids did a really good job with it, so I think that was pretty neat as well. I also kind of wanted to, again, reiterate the Facebook page is a tool for our families. We have over 600 people now on our Facebook site. It is a powerful information tool for our school. And when you talk about public relations and you talk about getting good information out about a school, It is one of the ways that I have found that is exceptionally easy for me to give real-time information to families just right on the spot. So I walk into a situation, I take a picture, and I can post immediately and give something to parents that second. It could be something as simple if I walk in and see collaborative work from students. If I see something going on that I think looks good, art project I see on the wall that's interesting, I'll take a picture and post it, and it's up there for parents immediately. And I've been amazed at the feedback we've gotten from parents as a positive resource. And so, the last few days have been pretty busy, just to kind of give you what's going on. I've already mentioned 4th grade Dad's Day. Yesterday we announced that Miss Willette was going to be our Teacher of the Year, so we did that in an interesting fashion. She's one of our 3rd grade teachers, and I actually FaceTimed into her room. Mr. Otalski was in there, and his iPad went off, and we talked to her class, and we let her know that she was going to be our Teacher of the Year via technology. We thought it was another great opportunity to use our technology, and we think she was very surprised. So we got some pictures, and if you get a chance to look, you can actually see Mr. O holding my face when you get to look at home. But, we're actually on there. Yeah. Huh? It's pretty funny. Yeah. So that's that. We also, yesterday I got to eat lunch with 4 of our students from various grade levels. We went to Tenders. They won a contest for our book fair, a drawing. So I took them out to lunch yesterday. So there's some pictures from that posted as well. Our 2nd grade did a really cool measurement Olympics over the last couple days. We took some pictures of that and posted those as well. So we had a great parent turnout, and that was in our gym. So we try to put things up on a very, very regular basis, and that will continue even after I leave. That is something I think that is exceptionally powerful to keep our parents informed of what's going on in the schoolhouse. So those are just a few of the other things I just wanted to share. Really get your family members and your friends to go out and get on the Facebook page. It is something that will share information on a regular basis. And even if you don't go to Facebook a lot, it will pop up on your screen when you get a message. So it's something that you can use pretty regularly. So with that being said, I'm going to have Valerie come up. Valerie's going to talk about something else that's very, very important to our school. One of the things we've really been focusing on this year is trying to build more community across our school. And when you have 1,100 students in a building, that is not an easy task. It's easy on a grade level sometimes, but it's much more complicated when you talk school-wide. So Ms. Hackett's going to talk to us a little bit about ESL and a program that her and our ESL teacher started for ESL students. But we also have several other things as well. We have something called Marvelous Mentors that Amy Peters started for us, where we have actually teachers and staff members mentoring students in the school, and it's all about creating community. So Valerie's going to come up and talk to us a little bit about that. So Valerie, it's all you.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, as Mr. G mentioned, the programs that we have either began this year or have continued this year that have previously been established. Marvelous Mentors, as he did mention, Amy Peters, a 5th grade teacher here at our school, started that program this year just to add support to students within our school by pairing them up with a staff member, whether it's the admin team, teachers, teacher assistants, and on a weekly basis, the staff members meet with the students, whether it's at their lunchtime, head outside for recess with them, or during reading, pulling them and having them read together, just to build that relationship piece with that student that the student might normally be overlooked, if you will, in the classroom. So they build that strong relationship with each other, and it also shows the student that they are supported here in the school, not only by their own personal classroom teacher, but staff members beyond that. And it really has encouraged the students who have participated in this program this year that, wow, there are people here that care for me, and it just has this great great vibe, great atmosphere with it. And just in particular, the student that Mr. G has, she skips down the hallway when they go into his office and read, and she's very excited about that. Another program that we have here is the Washam Academic Buddies. And Miss Jill Thompson started that last year, I believe, where we have parent volunteers come in and they go through a quick training refresher course this fall, as they did last year too. And they are set up with a classroom teacher, and they have time set up that they go into the classroom and they volunteer. And again, as it's called, the Washam Academic Buddies is focused around the academics. So that parent volunteer is there adding support, whether it's pulling small groups for math review, reading support. They might work with the same students every time they're there, or it could be case by case who is needing that extra support at that time. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback as well with the Washam Buddies, especially with the second year with that being here. I believe we have, is it roughly 2 dozen? Yes. Roughly 2 dozen buddies that participate with that. Another program that we have to pull parents into our school is extended tutors. The district actually provides schools with funds every year based on their previous year's EOG scores. And then with those funds, we are able to provide tutoring services to students in grades 3, 4, and 5 who might need that extra support in preparation for this year's end of grade tests. What Mr. G started actually last year, and we are implementing again this year with the extended tutors, we actually have 3 parents who all have teacher licenses. You know, they're not performing, they just formally did. And they come into the class each 6 hours a week. So there's 1 tutor set for 3rd grade, 1 for 4th, and 1 for 5th grade. And again, they add the support to the teachers, and it's across the grade level. It's not the specific teacher. So, you know, if 4th grade just got done with fractions and some students are still struggling with that, the extended tutor will then work with those students to add the extra support needed. So, you know, it's, again, a great way to pull in the community beyond just, you know, just seeing them around the school, and it's that consistent 6 hours a week, so the teachers are ready and prepared for that too, and the students look for it as well. The other program that we started this year, and this is Miss Williamson, who is our ESL teacher. Her and I have started this year the ESL Buddies program. The ESL Buddies program is to support English language learning students here at our school, and we meet with them 3 days a week for about 15 minutes each session, and we have older ESL buddies working with younger students. Our older buddies, we have given them the term buddies, and then the younger students, we have given them the term scholars. And within that program, they are working with Words Their Way, which is a program that helps the students really set a foundation for themselves of learning words, like breaking down those sight words, patterns within words if they're ready for it. When we first started this program back in November, all of our scholars, we went ahead and gave them an assessment, if you will, to collect data to see where they were. Because, you know, we want to support these students where they are individually. And we actually just had another assessment last week, and we had great, you know, gain and growth from these students, and which, you know, I think the ESL buddies help support that, but also with what the teachers are doing in their rooms, because a majority of our teachers are either using this program as well, or a program called Word Journeys, which is very similar as well. You want to share anything about ESL buddies?
Sure. I just brought a couple examples. I wanted to specifically, I'm trying to avoid that, specifically show this this type of sort. Now these are pictures. These are beginning consonant clusters. So that part aside, the pictures are really good for our newcomers to learn vocabulary. So for a small subset of our ESL population here, we're working on vocabulary as opposed to the word patterns in this initial stage for them. So it's been really great for them to just learn some new words in English, and then we'll move into the word patterns, listening for those initial sounds or those middle vowels. And this is what you might typically see for one of the higher level students, where they'd be working on these word patterns.
And the students, when they, since we only have them 3 days a week for those 15-minute chunks, we have students work with their words and their word patterns for roughly 2 weeks. And, they're cutting up the words, and then when they come in, they're physically manipulating and putting the words into sorts. Our buddies have been really great that, if Miss Williamson and I are still out in the hall waiting for other students to come, they come in here and they're able to start right on their own. And the buddies have shown great leadership over the months that we have done this, and we know that they're bringing that leadership as well into their everyday classroom, which, for before, they might have been a little more shy, but now they've built that confidence level, if you will, in this smaller group setting, and now it's reflecting in their regular classrooms too.
And even some of our scholars have stepped up, for example, first grader to walk kindergarten back to class. So it's just good for everyone. Everyone's had an increase in self-esteem as well as in academics. So we're really proud of them.
How did you pick the buddies?
We looked at former access scores, which are access is the ESL assessment that takes place every year. And we looked at what students could gain from additional support beyond the services that they're receiving from Ms. Williamson already, and, in addition to the classroom. And so for the scholars, we went there. And then we have a few, as Ms. Williamson mentioned, newcomers who, English is still very minimal to them, so we knew that we wanted to give them support there. For the buddies, same thing, we have one student who actually has exited from the program, and he came from recommendation from Mr. G, who, already had that strong leadership, so, we brought him into that.
We did take into account responsibility and behavior, the pattern that we've seen across the years with some of these students, as well as their English language proficiency. So they're all at the consult level or exited.
The buddies are, yeah.
Right, the buddies are at the consult or exited level.
I know I kind of cruised through all those programs. But.
The neat thing about it is if you come in and watch the pride that some of our former students that were struggling have in regard to the process is pretty impressive. I came in, I think it was last week or the week before, and took a few pictures of the kids. And just to have someone, they were finishing up and the one young man stopped and then redid it with the student just so I could see it, just to kind of see that confidence level that he had with the younger student, and how the younger student was really just eating it up. Was a great thing to see. So you're just trying to build that community in a variety of different ways. And I think it's been a good touch. Though we don't have a massively large ESL population, it wouldn't be a population you would think would be one of our largest at this school. It is an interesting ESL population. We have students from all over the world. It is not just students that are Spanish speaking all the time, though that's increased the last year or so. We have students in the past, we've had students from Germany, Italy, a lot tied into the NASCAR industry where engineers are coming over. So it is really a potpourri of folks. So it's not just about Spanish speaking. It's really just about building a community and just trying to make the students feel comfortable where they're not isolated, where just because they don't know certain things. So I think it's been a real positive thing.
And we even have one specific kindergartner who, again, we started this program in November, and her teacher told us she doesn't speak. You won't get much out of her. Give her time. And she, the first, I would say month and a half, she would, whisper, like a very small whisper. And now she is just talking, and it's amazing, and she's really able to explain what she's doing, and even the classroom teacher has says that she's seen that also in the classroom too, and it's just amazing. And again, I'm not saying that we're 100% to add to that, but I think the small comfort of her realizing, okay, I'm here working with other students similar to me, and then just the gains that she had, it's pretty exciting.
I'm a buddy, if I know who you're talking about, I think I'm a buddy in that classroom, and I was going to mention that it is really amazing. I mean, she'll come and hug me now. When we go into a small group, she will actually talk and answer questions. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm not a buddy, but I am in there once a week, and she would like blink her answers or like look down at the floor. And now she came up to me the other day and said, "Can you help me with this?" And I almost fell down. But I mean, from nothing to full
Yeah, and
blown out
that
participation.
confidence
Yeah.
too.
And part of that is just, she's a kindergartner. And
Yeah.
Absolutely as
getting
well.
used to the school and stuff, but it's pretty incredible
That has been hit
for
the
her journey so far.
Right. My favorite thing, and I think of Harry Wong, I don't know if you guys know him, but it runs itself, and I love it. I love to just step back and let it go. It's just the best feeling.
And we're really hoping too that this program will be able to continue over the years here at Washam, and then who our scholars are now eventually have them shifting to the buddy role too. So, and we've also talked about too, since getting the community involved is a goal here at our school. We've even talked about reaching out to CPCC, the North Campus, and seeing if there's anyone there from the language department that would like to talk to our students that might have similar stories, coming, non-native, speaking here to North Carolina or whatnot, and what their transition was, and now how they see themselves now still in that role, helping other students and learners.
Yeah, that's definitely the next step, is to reach out to the community and have them become a little bit more involved in what we're doing. So we're just piloting this year, and we've learned a lot about what works and what we can make better.
Any other questions for these ladies?
Going back to the mentors, do you have to be a full-time employee to do that? Part-timers do?
The Marvelous Mentors?
What we've done with the Marvelous Mentors, they're actually staff members.
Yeah.
So what we've done is we were trying to figure out ways to connect our teachers with students in other classes. One of the things they say when you do research is how do schools become successful, and it's where you constantly hear when they make connections with their students. And sometimes that needs to be made outside of the classroom setting. So we tried to create volunteer opportunities for our students to have connections with teachers that were not always their teacher. Just another adult role model in the building. So though we did not this year think about asking parents to participate in that, the goal was really just to try to look internally. I don't see that it would be a completely bad idea to bring parents in eventually. So what we've done this year is, as teachers have said, this child could use another support, or if they've talked to a parent and the parent said, there's not an adult role model, it'd be really nice if a male teacher or a male adult in the school could participate in that. We've kind of engulfed that in the process. But we think it's really, really important. If our kids are going to be successful emotionally and socially as well as academically, we have to try to build that connection. So that was the goal of what we were doing, and it's been successful. We have over 20, so it's been rather good so far this year. I have 3, and they do it's pretty cool. I do different things with each one. One I read a lot with because that's a need for that child. Another one I really just talk to, kind of just see what's going on in their day, how things are going in class, and it's much more informal. So it really depends on the particular situation that you're in, what you're doing with that child. Sometimes it's academic based, sometimes you're just trying to create a connection with somebody so they have somebody they can talk to, or they know somebody's watching out for them and just really watching them. Mr. O has one more thing he's going to share. There's been a shift, obviously, in regard to the standards in the state of North Carolina in regard to the federal government. It's called the Common Core Standards.